I'm back with another video on the Moulton, not so much just on the Moulton bicycle, but on the company itself. The company has a number of problems, and Alex Moulton himself passed away about a decade ago, unfortunately. He was in his early 90s, and he worked all the way into old age. The company he set up is absolutely a phenomenal company still, but there are problems. There is no way to know who the CEO is. I tried to figure out what kind of a management team they might have. A number of different companies have manufactured the Moulton since the beginning, really. And I'm not sure as to how many companies are still making Moultons under a license. What you see here is the official website of the company. It's moultonbicycles.co.uk, and this is their heritage page. The bike started off in the 60s, so they have been around for quite a while. And this was the original design, this one. But obviously the best one is the space frame. And when I think of a Moulton, I think of something like this. Definitely the space frame design is what makes the Moulton the king. But under the current management, whoever the CEO is, the company is really not making an effort to move forward. The problems are not as big as I cited with the Brompton company in a recent video. If you haven't seen that video, you should check it out. You should also click below and check out my landing page. You can go click over to the Brompton, to the Moulton, and a bunch of other companies as well whose products I recommend. I don't necessarily recommend each and every bike. Same thing with the Moulton. I only care for the space frame, really, unless you get an old Moulton that is used, that I would consider. So let's look at what this new company, the new leadership is doing. This is the most recent bike that they put on the market. This is based on an old design from the 70s. This was before the space frame, and it was slightly more rigid than the original 1960s design. That's what they are trying to put back on the market in a kind of modernized way for over $5,000. And as you can see, Portapedal Bike, which is one of the best bike shops to shop from, is lowering the prices. Nobody's buying this crap. I mean, who would want to buy this ugly monstrosity that doesn't even look like a Moulton? That is much less rigid than the space frame would be. Although it has the attachments, it has the sophisticated suspension that I do like, and high quality components as well. Very nice pictures. I love this website. If you want to look at the latest stuff that's on the market, you definitely should bookmark this website. But I think most of what they are selling in this category for the Moulton is not going to sell. Not long ago, Moulton made a decent effort. This belt drive bike is about maybe a decade old. It's been on the market for a while. You get a space frame and you get a high quality belt drive system that you can see here. It has hub gear, 2 gears, and a brake in the rear that is not a grip brake. It's in the hub, so you can just pedal backwards. It's a very simple, rugged structure. The idea was to make a commuting bike, but since it's a separable frame, it's not a folding bike. It has had difficulty gaining traction on the market against the Brompton and the Birdie as well. But I think it's a very nice bike, and for $2,500 to get a space frame from Moulton is with a belt drive is a totally good idea. It's definitely worth it. If I was to buy a Moulton, I would probably go for this one, and I would probably replace the hub gear in the rear. Again, this is the first error. If they market a bike like this, they should at least have an 8 or 9 speed hub gear as an option. I should be able to pay maybe an extra $500, and I should be able to go for a much more complex and sophisticated hub gear. The other thing they haven't done is to have a monocoque frame, and I'll show you what that would look like. This is what it would look like. So this is obviously not a monocoque frame, but they could take out the steel tubing and replace all of this area with something like a carbon fiber or titanium reinforced carbon fiber monocoque object that would have no tubes inside of it, and I bet they could reduce the weight by 2, 3, maybe even 4 pounds. They haven't done anything about that. And then there is the electric. This electric Moulton was created roughly a decade ago, 2013. This stirred up quite a bit of emotions in the electric bike community when this came out. I don't remember who made it. It's an engineer in the UK, and you see that there's a lot of engineering skill and some custom fabrication as well. But there is this tiny motor here, and it is driving via a belt this big disc. This is a brilliant idea because there is so much more torque. The difference between driving the axle here or over here is the difference of trying to use a scissor by holding it at the base or holding it properly toward the ends. So you have a whole lot more torque, but at the same time, what I do like about hub systems in general is that you have regenerative braking, or possibly you might have some regenerative braking, although it's unclear if this bike has it. But this is a beautiful bike. And then there was this other invention or idea, and this is the details of it, and that was to not put the battery on the bike, but to put it into a backpack. So the battery is on the backpack. When you ride, you connect. And this was a small battery. With that huge amount of torque, you may not need all that much power. I don't know the size of the battery, but you can certainly check out the information here. And this website is electricbike.com. And you'll find the only electric Moulton on this site over here. It's a beautiful job. Did anybody contact this man from the Moulton company? Did they hire him? Did they offer a collaboration of some sort that maybe they would launch an electric edition? No, none of that was ever done. So this company is really not doing that much more than the Brompton. In some ways it's even doing less, because at least Brompton is trying with an electric and an ultralight. They are not doing it the way I would do it, but at least they are trying. And the CEO, whoever he is just sleeping on a beautiful history, a beautiful past that is really no longer. And as far as monocoque is concerned, the Birdie is possibly your only choice on the market. Although you could argue that the Hummingbird has a sort of a monocoque frame as well. These frames are more aerodynamic and they are less likely to bend, because a wedge shape or some sort of a narrow aerodynamic shape is much more rigid as the bike is knocked on the pavement against the potholes and the cracks than a tubular frame. And then there are the brakes. I really think the Moulton, just like the Brompton, could use a better brake. Now, I'll show you an interesting brake for the Brompton. This is made by the German Magura, and it is a hydraulic grip brake. In general, I'm not crazy about all of the disc brake solutions that people put on these bikes. Hydraulic disc brakes are heavy, and typically they cut into bike performance. They are most suitable, in my opinion, for an electric bike. and you have to modify the frame. This is Kinetics, kinetics-online.co.uk. I mentioned this site before. They make fantastic things. It's a small shop in Scotland, but they make all kinds of things for upgrading the Brompton, the Moulton, you name it. In order to attach these brakes, they would have had to either remachine the original fork that came with this Moulton, or maybe they made a new fork. I think it's probably the former. I don't think they put in all the work to remake a fork as complex as the Moultons. But here is what it looks like with a disc brake. I'm not crazy about the idea. I think this is a better way to go. A hydraulic grip brake is something you can install on an existing regular brake attachment, and Magura actually sells quite a number of adapters. There are a number of third-party companies that also sell adapters, or you can fabricate one. You just basically want to lift or lower it depending upon the situation, or change the bore of the hole, or move it left or right, or whatever. This brake which fits the Brompton, by the way, is over $200. So it's a really expensive upgrade, but still a lot cheaper than replacing the front fork and paying an extra $300 for putting in a set of hydraulic discs for the front. As far as putting them into the rear, I don't think there's any point. 75% of your brake force is going to fall onto the front brake anyway. So there's no point in making the bike heavier by upgrading the rear. Now for the Moulton, you have the lucky situation that you have a brake that is suspended at 2 points, not like this one. On the Brompton, you have no choice. You have only the one brake that connects at 1 point. But a much more powerful brake is the one that is attached on 2 sides. Where is that? Okay. So you see it's attached on the right and on the left as well. This is also very convenient with tires, because you can load very large tires and you have plenty of space here. That's not the case. That's not the case here. You have a much more limited amount of space. So the Moulton is suspended from the 2 sides, and Magura has brake sets for those kind of situations for really not a lot of money. Paying $70 for a hydraulic brake set that can go on an existing frame without modification is really not a bad deal. I think it's an excellent deal. And if you own a Moulton, you may want to look into it. You may need an adapter. There are also more fancy, more expensive ones, but even the more expensive ones are $110. It's not a lot of money. It's really not a lot of money. I would say even for the Brompton, there is a point of getting this upgrade if you don't want to spend the money on a new fork and the whole assembly with a disc solution. And then finally, I would like to show you the front fairing. I think the front fairing is a really cool idea, and a lot of people use it. It might improve your speed somewhat, although it weighs 3.5 pounds. But I think the main benefit is winter use. To ride in cold weather, your hands are protected, your upper body, even some of your lower body are protected because the zipper fairing is so huge. I don't know how many of these fairings have been sold. This is at zipper.com, 2 Z's and 2P, zipper.com. They make stuff that you could even put on your Birdie or Brompton, like some of these smaller frames that they can be adapted to a straight handlebar. Not to mention that the Birdie can take a bullhorn handlebar. So you can just buy this. I think it's like $250 or something like that. It is going to help you. It's going to protect your hands, and it's going to help you with cold weather riding. But in addition to that, I think the benefit is that it gives you maybe an extra 5% or 10% improvement in energy efficiency. And Zipper has been selling this adapter to some of the Moulton space frame bikes. The price is above $500. So it's not that cheap, but it is a huge piece, and as you can see, it's over 3 pounds. And if Zipper can make money on it, then I don't see why Moulton should not make this available as an option. Ideally, I would like to go to the Moulton website, which is a really crappy website that hasn't been updated in ages. The pictures are old and blurry, so they are expecting you to buy your Moulton, to pay $5,000, $10,000, $20,000 for a bicycle based on these blurry pictures and nothing but the glorious history of the company, which I don't doubt. I don't argue against that, but this is not adequate. They don't even have a big detailed image that you could see. I mean, these images are not that great. If I go to Portapedal Bikes, I get far better images than this. So I should be able to just go to the website and order the electric, order the hydraulic brake, the zipper fairing, whatever I want. There should be a lightweight option. There should be a monocoque. They might want to experiment even with the titanium, although the rigidness of the frame may not work with a titanium setup. But who knows? I don't think they've ever tried. If you are interested in ordering a Moulton, I think the best place to go is hands down to go to Portapedal Bike. And they have just beautiful images and some really nice configurations of the Moulton. It's really the bike shop that's doing this, not so much the Moulton company. They buy the frames and they upgrade the frames themselves. You can buy stuff for not much over $3,000, which is really cheap for what you're getting. These are gorgeous bikes, amazing paint jobs, and high quality components. Very cool stuff. Okay, this is it for the video. Feel free to like, share, follow, whatever, and I'll be back in a few days.